Do you love your farmer? Do you love your farmer? I'm in the van, bins jumping for a couple dollars. I'm in the sand, drip running, trying to pump this water. If I hand you these bunches, you're a lucky shopper. Said I pull up.
What's going on, beautiful people? Thank you for returning back to my channel, The Root Wave. In this episode, I have JACKSONIC. Please say hello and tell us where we can find you.
Hey, what's going on? It's your boy JACKSONIC. Y'all can find me at Eat Vegetables NYC on Instagram. Check me out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, all that.
Yeah, I appreciate you being on the channel. I reached out to you because I accidentally fell upon your page on Instagram, and instantly I was I was hooked. There's a song there that you have. I don't remember the name, and I apologize for that. It's the one that says, "Do you love your farmer?"
Yeah, hey, yeah.
Yeah, that.
Okay.
Yeah, that beat is sick. That just that tag, just that melody and everything that you wrote there was like impressive.
Hey, I appreciate that, man.
Let's talk about the music, right? So I come from a time where I grew up with Biggie, Tupac, Big Pun, all those people.
Yeah, Big Pun.
If I would have run into your music back in the day, and this is not an insult to you or anything like that, this is just awareness. If I would have run into your music, or any one of my classmates would have run into your music back in the day, they would have been like, "What the fuck is this?" Not only because of the subject matter, but also because you're not endorsed by anybody in the background, right? Like it used to be back in the day. Now, there's a huge awareness, not only as human beings, but in the art space, right? Where you no longer have to be a certain color to rap, nor do you have to even talk about a certain subject to rap. So basically what you do, and what I've seen you do, is you rap about agriculture, farming, vegetables, that type of stuff. And I thought that's very important because I feel like we're moving into an era where that's becoming more of a norm on a day-to-day basis. People actually paying attention to the vegetables, the fruits, paying attention to agriculture, paying attention to what might also lead to being self-sufficient by growing your own stuff and all that stuff. So now that I've blabbed all that time, let's talk about your music. Tell me how you started. Tell me a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, totally. Sure. Yeah, thank you for having me. Just want to say, but as far as my music goes, I'm from New York City, and I grew up listening to Biggie, Pac, Rakim, Nas, all the greats, and the game has definitely changed a lot. I've changed a lot. When I started rapping in middle school, and I would do the regular braggadocio, dissing all the other MCs, talking about how I'm the best, talking about how me and my clique get down or whatever. But as I grew up, how I developed my own style, is pretty intertwined with how I found agriculture. After I graduated from high school, I began thinking about, where my food comes from. In the city, you don't really have much of an idea about that when you're growing up. At least I didn't know like how vegetables were grown, and I want to find out. And I started farming, fell in love with it, and as I started growing food, I started incorporating itself into my bars. I just started rhyming more about vegetables, being out in the field, and then after doing that for a few years, I realized I'm in a very unique situation, and I kind of took it upon myself, like realized this was my calling, was to spread this this important message in the hip hop game for people in the city who don't know that the importance of agriculture and food, and to let people know that there's more ways to get out there. Because also I always thought it was really important to be myself. I think it's important in hip hop not to front like you're somebody you're not or whatever, but to tell your own story. And I really it was important even before I started rapping about vegetables, just to be real and to empower people to tell their own story. So I hope that with my music, even if someone doesn't rap about vegetables, I want to see just more diversity in the rap game, with people talking about what they're going through and not having to, conform to whatever image they think might be the most popular or might get them radio play. You know what I mean?
Right. So how long ago did you start your music with the whole vegetable thing?
Yeah. So I would say it really started. I guess 2014. I made my first like real vegetable hit song called "All These Vegetables." We got a YouTube video for that. And and then in 2015, I dropped my first like all vegetable album, July Garlic on August Tomato Sandwiches. At that point, I was just doing it for fun. But then once I dropped that, people at the farm where I was at, they were bumping it heavy. Everyone in the upstate community were all really vibing with it. And then I brought it back to the city, and everyone was messing with it down there.
Right.
It was blowing people's minds. So I realized I had to just keep running with it. So I just kept making hits about vegetables.
Yeah. So how, besides the, let's say, the people that you know and the farmers that you were dealing with, what's been the response on the overall, let's say, YouTube or Instagram? What has been the overall reaction to your music?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, a lot of people are showing love, and a lot of people, like you were saying, are like, yo, what's this? A lot of people definitely hating and stuff, oh, like, this is trash, you need to stop. But, people were saying that even before I was rapping about vegetables, honestly, so it's like, shit, I'm not gonna stop now, especially when, when people are telling you, yo, I love your music, this is so inspirational, never stop, you can't let a couple haters bring you down or change your mind. And, of course, every rapper gets hated on, from the greatest to the worst. So, especially with the game nowadays, everyone is coming in with all types of crazy sounds. I know, it's my mission to shine my light the best way I can and spread this message. So, I don't let it get to me. But yeah, there's one thing about my music is it definitely gets people talking.
Right.
It's kind of polarizing. A lot of people either love it or hate it. You either think, wow, this is so original, so creative, I want to hear more, or you think, oh, this is trash, this isn't what I like. And for me, that's fine. Like, not everyone has to like it, but for me, it's like, as long as I can get people talking, if I can just get in the game and make it so that people are even thinking about different ways of approaching the mic and being real with themselves, then I've done my job.
Yeah, well, that's a big part that I reached out to you, because I'm kind of doing the same thing where I'm just like, you know what, I don't give a shit. I'm going to do this. I'm going to interview people. I like asking a lot of questions. I like knowing things. I'm just multifaceted in regards to how I grew up, what I'm trying to learn, what I'm trying to accomplish. And I felt like when I ran into your page, I was like, yo, that's a dude that doesn't give a shit. And it's cool at the same time. From an artistic standpoint, creative standpoint, it's something very different, original. And it's something, like you said, that either you're going to be like, pfft, or you're going to be like, whoa, right? So I know that you just started. Are you booking shows and stuff like that, or anything like that? Or is it still in the grassroots phase?
Yeah, I'm currently, upstate. I've been, I started out this season, really trying to like go hard farming and rapping and shooting music videos. I also do the educational videos as well and try to put on for agriculture. And at this point, I'm not farming as much, but I'm still upstate. So I do a lot of shows. Like I reach out with the community. I'm performing at a school next week and doing more local stuff. But right now I'm focusing more on just creating content and reaching out to people all over the country that way than like, trying to get these local gigs and stuff, because I feel like, for me, I have more viral potential than I do, I love rocking shows, and I honestly look forward to the day when I can just be booked solid performing gigs. But, I feel like my big way to blow is going to be through the internet and not through like, doing a local show and someone's like, yo, this guy is nice. I mean, of course, I'm down to do shows because I realize there's potential for that, but I want to keep creating the videos for sure.
Right. So I'm going to move on to the next part of the interview, which is the agriculture portion of it. And what I want to ask you is, it might be a little selfish, but I'm in a small apartment in New York City, and I want to grow shit in my apartment. What should I do? How do I start that? How do I get that going?
So, I would say, the easiest thing to grow in your apartment is going to be like culinary herbs, or even, even medicinal herbs. But herbs definitely tend to be a lot hardier, and they're a lot more potent than vegetables. You could try growing a kale plant, but to really sustain it for a while, you're going to be taking a lot of leaves. You're only going to be able to get a couple salads, whereas like if you grow cilantro, basil, thyme, or even you can look into more medicinal stuff too. There mint, and there's all kinds of herbs that you can grow, and you get a lot more bang for your buck because you don't need that much to add to like a pot full of soup or whatever you're cooking with it.
Right. So would that be easy to actually maintain in an apartment? Like, is there a lot of care for those type of herbs or no?
Herbs definitely can be pretty low maintenance. Too, especially right now in September. The season is sort of ending, so you're not going to be getting as many yields. It's a lot harder to grow stuff throughout the winter, with less natural sunlight. I'm assuming too that you're talking about, like you said, low maintenance stuff. If there are people who definitely in the cities who go all out and they get grow lights and hydroponics set up, but that's honestly not my area of expertise.
Right.
Even though I have a lot of respect for it, but if you have like a couple windows that get some good sunlight, you could just get a couple nice potted plants. It's a little late in the season for basil. Basil really likes the heat, but you could definitely rock some cilantro, some thyme and mint, and even like if you wanted like lavender or something to make tea with. I'm trying to think what else, but I would say go with herbs and too, like you could probably get away with a couple salad crops. Like I mentioned kale. Kale could work. It would definitely be a lot more reasonable than like something like tomatoes or carrots or other vegetables which take a lot of space. Like you'd want to go for more leafy crops. But yeah, herbs, you get some nice potting soil, maybe a little bit of fertilizer or compost, and you just put it in the sunlight, water it, and just pay attention to it. You don't want to water it too much, but you just give it a balance. Stick your finger in the soil, make sure it's moist but it's not drenched, and you'll have some nice food to throw in your meals.
Yeah.
And start building that connection.
Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, it's also like on an energy level, like having the plants here in the house. It's like, whoa, like you feel better. Like there's a lot going on. Plus, you're putting natural stuff into your food, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Have you noticed a a big growth in people? Let's say, all right, I'm in a small apartment, but have you noticed a big growth in people who have houses actually planting, cultivating, trying to be self-sufficient with their food?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's hard to necessarily comment on growth because I feel like, when I was growing up, I was so oblivious, I didn't even really know what's going on. But I think, as you mentioned earlier, it's a lot more common in conversation. When we were kids or whatever, no one was really talking about veganism, local, organic, and now, it's happening a lot more. Especially in the city, there's a lot more. Just stores for like health food stores and stuff showing up, which is definitely cool. And I think there's also a dope flip side to it, which is, more like guerrilla gardening. Like I know that there's definitely a lot of like rooftop gardens in the city and people just like taking whatever vacant lots they can and just like, trying to grow as much as they can on it. So, I think people are definitely becoming more aware of it, and it's definitely inspiring them to grow more vegetables or just plants in general, which is a beautiful thing.
Right. Right. So, let's say I don't want to plant anything, right? But I'm here in the city, like you're saying, just like you. I was not aware, but now I'm a lot more aware. But I'm finding it difficult to, number one, trust the supermarkets with what they bring, right?
Yeah.
Then you think about I'd rather support a local farmer, a farmer's market, and then hope that would be a lot more organic than what I'm getting at the supermarket. So that being said, if I'm here in the city, let's say, right, how do I get involved in being able to purchase? Like, how do I educate myself? How do I even start, or where do I go to find a good farmer's market or a good somebody local who's got like the best stuff? Is there like a site, or is there some type of research I'm supposed to do? Like, how can I make this easier for somebody that's watching right now and that maybe in the city is like, yo, I want to eat healthier, but in my neighborhood they don't got that stuff.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, no, I hear that. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of things to do. There's a lot of useful tools that you can do, and I can list off a few. You know, I don't know about specifically a website or something. You know, I would say honestly, like my biggest piece of advice is honestly just to eat vegetables. You know, like obviously that's the name of the movement, but like to like, you know, I definitely hear you about, you know, not trusting stuff in the supermarket, but and also, you know, I just want to say I'm not like a vegetarian or a vegan or anything, but I think it's just so important to eat lots of vegetables. So like even if you're getting vegetables from the supermarket or whatever, like, you know, eating plants is good. You know, like you can't, you know, obviously local and organic is the best, but too, you know, I know, you know, being in the city and stuff, especially buying from the farmers, it can be more expensive. So, you know, even if it's more expensive, don't let that discourage you. Like you can still buy like not local, not organic, and just, you know, the more you're cooking your own vegetables, experimenting with using different herbs and stuff, you know, I think that's a great step in the right direction. But in terms of getting in touch with farms and knowing what farms are good, what farms to trust, I would say, you know, you can just Google your neighborhood, and there's farmers markets all over the city. You know, every borough there are farmers markets, and there are even farms in the city and gardens. You know, usually they already have a lot of people who are patronizing it. You know, like I know, like when I was in the city, there was a rooftop garden which had chickens, and you know, like there was a long wait list to get the eggs because it's such a scarce commodity. Everyone wants some local eggs, but you know, you can get in touch with if there is a farm around you. I would say just get in touch, say what's up to the farmers. You know, because there's always work to do. Farmers always need help. You can volunteer, and if not, you know, go to your local farmers market and just talk to the farmer, you know, see what's up. Like I said, you know, I really encourage eating vegetables, but too, if you eat meat, you know, and you have money to afford local and organic meat, it's like, you know, 1,000 times better than like meat. I don't recommend buying from the supermarket because that has a lot of bad stuff in it. You know, if you're going to eat meat, I really suggest you try to get it local and organic. You know, of course, you know, it's not like it's some black and white thing. Like, you know, I feel like a lot of people get turned off from this conversation because people can be real haters and like, oh, like, why are you eating that? You know, it's never like something to be ashamed about or try to guilt trip people about. But, you know, it's such nutrition and what you put in your body is such an important thing. You know, to be eating local and organic meat is a huge step. So if you go to your farmer's market, you know, you can talk to your, you know, the people there. There's usually at least a few vendors, and you never know what they might say. You know, if you be real with them, you know, they could maybe hook you up with a deal. Too, another thing is CSAs, which is really popular outside of the city, but I'm pretty sure there's some CSAs which go down to the city, and that's like, you know, it usually happens more at the beginning of the season, like in the spring, but it's like you talk to a farm and you sign up, like you pay up front, and then you get a discounted weekly share. So you get like, you pay $20 a week for a box of vegetables, and it helps the farmer because it allows the farmer to have all their funds up front so they can just get cracking and, you know, buy whatever equipment they need. And then you basically get whatever's in season. You get a nice big box, and it's at a discounted rate. So that's, you know, especially for people too who live like in Long Island or Yonkers where there's more agricultural land, you know, I know that there's, you know, tons of CSAs out there where you could be, you know, just getting a nice big box of weekly produce that's fresh, and you're helping out your farmer, and they're hooking it up for you because, you know, farmers, you know, this kind of a segue, but like, you know, local and organic farmers, they charge a lot, but they're really not making much money.
Right.
So it's very, you know, it's very difficult. You know, I put a lot of blame on, you know, the powers that be. You know, there's a big corporation game that's, you know, making it harder. You know, they limit the access for the everyday person to fresh produce to make it more convenient for them to control the food supply. I'm not gonna get into all that necessarily, but if you're real with your farmer, they really want to hook it up for you, and a lot of times they might have some produce that they can't really sell because it doesn't look as good, but they could give it to you for a discounted rate. So I would say just reach out to the people in your area and just get that dialogue going. Is a huge step. That's really what I'm trying to promote, is that connection between the farmers and the customers, because there's such a huge disconnect.
Yeah, big disconnect. I mean, it's a big difference from what I guess was around like 60 years ago or 70 years ago with the farmers. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad I reached out to you, because now I just learned a whole shitload of stuff. This is the exact same reason why I reached out to you. Please tell us if you have any shows coming up, and also let us know where we can find you again, so that way I will be putting all that information below. Go ahead. And also, I'm sorry, after you tell us where we can find you, any shows, do me a favor and leave us with, even though you said a lot of positive stuff right now, but just give us a little send-off, a little anecdote when it comes to the audience and what you would want to inspire them with. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah. So I'll just start off and say, find me on Instagram, Eat Vegetables NYC. And, if you look up JACKSONIC Eat Vegetables on YouTube, we got the YouTube channel Eat Vegetables. We're always dropping new music videos, educational videos. If you want to learn how to grow your own food, get in touch with farmers. You want to learn more about that, find us on YouTube. Also on Spotify, I just dropped a new album, JACKSONIC 2. And this one is also, it's more for the city too, because it's got a lot of bars, and it's about the hunger and the motivation to keep grinding and be successful despite all odds, which is really what I want to encourage. Like, whatever your lane is, whatever you're passionate about, keep doing it. And that's really the inspiration. Like for me, I was in I took one semester of college, and I turned to my friends. I was like, no one even told me, no one put me on to farming. I was just like, could you imagine growing your own food, working hard all day, being tired, but always having something to eat? And my friends were like, yo, you're crazy. Like, you want to go to a farm? Like, no one knew about it. But then, boom, years later, here I am. Not only do I know how to grow food, I've been farming for 6 years now. Not only do I know how to do all that stuff, now I'm in a place where I can put other people on and educate and empower other people to do the same thing. So, if you have dreams, never stop grinding no matter what anyone says. It's never impossible.
Yes, thank you, JACKSONIC. I really appreciate that. This was great. This was better than I thought it was going to be.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for having me out here, man.
Yeah,
Keep
man.
up the great work.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Maybe we'll have you on later on, especially if you blow up. Hopefully you remember the little people.
No, yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, JACKSONIC, I appreciate it. To my audience, don't forget to watch this, share it, like it, let people know what's up. It's very important. That's why I have him on the channel. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. JACKSONIC, thank you once again. I appreciate it. Much luck and success with you. I'll definitely be catching you around on Instagram. Thank you for watching, everyone. I'm out. Peace.
Looking for a girl that I could weed with, bag up greens with, hit the shop and split some ice cream with. Pull up lakeside is real scenic. Girl, you could spend the weekend, but let me make this clear, baby girl. I ain't nothing like these other farmers, nothing like these other rappers.